Hello everyone, here's Mahsa from coinIX. coinIX is a blockchain investment firm based in Hamburg, and we make it possible for everyone to have exposure to digital assets through publicly listed shares. Here I am at EthCC, the biggest Ethereum conference in the world, and I just saw the graph, one of our success stories in our portfolio. I was so excited to see the team, and I thought, let's do an interview with them. So I have Marcus right next to me. Marcus, tell me, what is your story? How did you end up in the blockchain industry?
Well, this goes back many years. I started scripting Python in my free time and eventually found my way into really making that something I just did around the house. At the time, I was practicing as a doctor of physical therapy, actually. And so I was practicing for 8 years, enjoying my practice, and at the same time scripting. Found an internship at a small startup during the pandemic, and eventually just dove headfirst. And after working as a physical therapist for a decade, really found a comfort interacting with people and their pain points and being able to understand and then explain complex topics, regardless of the person that was listening. They could be very advanced in their understanding of blockchain or very beginner in their understanding. So being able to relate to people, being able to communicate to people, eventually I found myself as a developer relations professional. So yeah, it's been a journey to go from being a medical professional into a crypto world, but I feel like that's the environment we're in, being able to take people who are essentially people of the normie world, if you will, and bring them into this technological new frontier, and it's been a wonderful journey thus far.
Amazing. Now, if you want to tell your grandmother about the graph, if you want to explain to her what exactly is the graph, what would you say?
I would say the graph is responsible for pulling data and bringing that into the websites that we enjoy, and primarily that data that we're gathering is financial data. So anytime you're seeing financial data coming specifically from, if I was talking to my grandma, I would say from blockchain, and I would just leave it at that, from blockchain financial data, and bringing that to our internet, and we are able to use that information however we would like in our browsers.
Yeah. So we usually say that the graph is the Google of the blockchain. I guess that's the easiest way to explain it to someone who is not really working with Web3. Now, tell me, is there anyone else in the market who's doing exactly what you're doing? Do you have any competitors?
Yeah, there's a few other different competitors, and it's I think it's a healthy sign of the industry. We were the first DeFi summer. That was us really powering that time of blockchain and industry. Now we have competitors. It's validated the market and really shown that there's a demand for it. And we've shown that we can keep up, and not only keep up, but progress the market as well. So we have multiple products that have entered the market in the last 8 years we've been around, and that's been a really telling thing that not only we've been able to find success back then at DeFi Summer, but also continued success moving forward.
Nice. Yeah, we've been following the progress of the graph since we invested, and we are very satisfied with the way that you're going forward. Now, can you tell me, when was the first moment that the idea of graph was born?
I wasn't there. I was hired on after it was invented.
Okay.
I know Yaniv Tal was the leader in inventing the idea of the graph many years ago, as well as others. But I know Yaniv, he's a friend of mine, and talking with him still today, he's always full of big ideas. And so shout out to Yaniv if you're watching this. Appreciate his thought process on any idea he's coming with, and thankful for his work in this ecosystem, as well as others who were part of the journey back 7, 8 years ago.
Nice.
Yeah.
We're really looking forward to all the future milestones that is going to be achieved by the graph. Now tell me, bearish or bullish in 2026? What do you think?
Neither. I think we're going to, at this point, I think we're at a place of transition for 2026 where I don't think there's going to be moonshots. I don't think there's going to be craterings. I think for crypto, it's finding its footing with DeFi and TradFi intersections. And because of that, there's going to be some spikes and some dips. But overall, I'm feeling like this is a year just to hold on and see how it's going to go. 27, 28, I think we'll have more information to have better assessment. But right now, I'm not feeling bearish or bullish. I'm feeling that's consistent this year.
Now, let me ask you this. If you had 1 million euros to invest right now, where would your money go?
I'm very much staying dialed into this intersection of traditional finance and stablecoins. That's where I feel like this industry is consolidating, and I'm always aware of these consolidation moments when many ideas are proliferating, and those that survive are the ones that are actually having product market fit, and stablecoins are that. So I would take a look at the stablecoin economy and seeing which organizations are finding their route in that. We are working very hard with a technology called AMP that's specific to that economy, and being able to support that at a compliance level, at a database level, that goes directly into stablecoins. And that's really where I think that's a smart play. So if I were investing $1 million, I would say, let's look at the stablecoin industry from the technological aspect, from the traditional finance aspect, and see where the companies that are having some forethought in that industry would be having a smart play. Yeah.
Exactly, I totally agree. We have also launched a fund a few months ago, which is focused on stablecoins and DeFi activities on stablecoins, and we believe that this market has a lot to offer to investors.
Glad we agree.
Exactly. Now, tell me, which sector do you think is going to die out in the next 2 years in the crypto industry?
I mean, it's already on its end throes. We saw the multi-chain world being really a huge factor just 2-3 years ago. L2 wars were everything, and now with Ethereum scalability really being solved, it's difficult to say these L2s are going to be the next thing. It's difficult to argue that at this point, just with the scalability and security being so good at Ethereum. So I'm seeing a few different L1s pop off. I'm seeing how Base wants to create their own L1, and that's just because of their market capture. They're able to achieve that. But for the most part, I don't see L2s really having a long-term foothold 5-10 years down the road with the skills of the engineers at the Ethereum blockchain, also with Solana having their own unique market in there. They were having these L1s that are hyper-specific to their use cases, and then there's Ethereum, and the L2s I don't really see having a place at this time in 5 to 10 years. So I would love to be proven wrong. I think L2s have a wonderful purpose, but I think they need to really consider how well they can identify themselves in the market and really have a brand that's unique from the market at this point, because just providing scalability at a cheaper rate is not an argument anymore. So I think the L2, we're seeing that downtrend occurring, and in a few years I don't necessarily see L2s being a viable option unless they really do a good job at identifying themselves in the market.
Exactly. I think many L2s will probably not make it. They will vanish after a few years. But if we only have a few projects that will really create value and move forward to the mass adoption, I think that's going to be enough for the blockchain industry. And if we want to choose one sector that is the next big thing, which one are you going to choose?
We already mentioned stablecoins. I feel like that's a big one. And with traditional finance, that's the bridge. So I'm doubling down on a subset of that, which is compliance and auditing, where one thing that crypto has been very good at is being a wild west of exploration. And in doing so has created a bit of a messy kind of branding where there can be rugs, there can be big drops and big spikes in volatility. It's been difficult for banks to say this is where we want to go. And so one of those ways that confidence is to be gained is not only stablecoins, which provides some type of stability throughout the market, but then to also look into it as well auditing and be able to provide compliance trails and be able to provide lineage and data lineage. It's really important for banks to really have trust within this industry. So it's a subset of the stablecoin world, and I think that's really important to respect the compliance professionals in the banking institutions to say they not only need to have the stablecoin be proven and not be pegged, but to the point of we have that data, that have that lineage, we can actually stand up to regulations that are a part of every banking institution and have that be confident. That's only going to make this industry in crypto and traditional finance have a better long-term relationship.
Yeah, you mentioned a very important thing, regulations, having a framework that we can use all around the world globally is very important. I think at the moment we have patchwork regulations, like in Europe and America have different regulations, and sometimes it's not really work. I hope that in the next few years we're gonna fix that. Many people have lost their hope in the crypto market. What makes you wanna stay in this market? What motivates you to still believe in the crypto market?
I think what initially brought me in here was data sovereignty, identity, understanding that we have ownership of our data, and being able to actually take action on that. The challenge is there's always consolidation. And so I'm doing my very best to find that intersection where there still can be understanding of data sovereignty and privacy and being able to have permissionless action within this economy. Unfortunately, that is shrinking in this day and age. So I'm trying to find for myself personally, how can we keep that vision alive as this consolidation of traditional finance is coming in? So right now, I don't have a flag-carrying answer at this time. This is a transitional year for me personally, and I think for the industry as a whole. There's been a lot of gut checking of saying, what is crypto this year versus what it was last year, versus what it was the previous year. So I think we're finding that out in terms of products being shipped. In terms of my role personally, I'm finding I'm shifting from more developer relations into business relations. And that's a different place for me to be in terms of value propositions, receiving feedback and bringing that to my team and creating, proofs of concept, that type of working relationship. For myself in crypto, we wanted 1 billion users. We wanted billions of users. And we talked about that as the mission, if you wanted to have a flag, of crypto, to carry this flag into battle and say we're going to have 1 billion users. The problem is the moving costs. To move someone from Instagram to another social media is just such a headache. To just get them to do the most basic Web 2 moving, let alone bringing Web3 wallets into the equation, to learn how to do bridging, to learn how to do token actions, to learn slippage. That's a whole new thing that they have to learn. And to ask that of normies, I feel, was too much. And we saw that in the market. Still, DeFi is a pretty small industry, regardless of the amount of capital coming in and out. It's not a whole lot of people comparatively to traditional finance. So did we want 1 billion users? Yeah, we do. And I think those users, asking them to move to crypto is too much. I think we're moving to them. And we're getting billions of users moving in that direction. What is bringing me and keeping me in crypto? I think it's to understand there needs to be crypto representation for those billions of users that are using more traditional applications and have been doing so for years. Crypto still needs a representation in that place. So I'm trying to find my way in there, and I think that's the industry as a whole.
Perfect. Thank you so much for this interview. We're very excited for the next milestones that the graph is going to achieve, and have a great day.
Thank you so much.